So hello everyone, Måndag here, welcome to my rant review of Yowamushi Pedal Season 4, Episode 9, Glory Line. I mean, I'm appalled, I'm disappointed, I am so disappointed. And the thing is that I did not think this anime could become more disappointing to me, right? Because, I mean, I hate Issa, right? I hate Issa with all my guts in my body. Every bone in my body was like beating with bones, right? I would lose an arm if I could get this character. I hate this character so much. He's just a bad written character. This episode again shows he's a bad written character too, which also makes it even worse. But obviously the cheating is what I'm disappointed about. But like you say again, also after the cheating, Issa is also again a regressively bad written character. And the character devolution sort of evolution, like character going down, right? It's just ridiculously bad written character. So obviously I pissed off the team, as everyone was Koga instead, and we also see Koga in this episode being like, oh, he's gonna stuck over here. Koga's like amazing skills as being a captain. So obviously Koga should be the captain. Teshima is horrible as captain, right? We all know that. So that is also part of the episode. I come to that after the cheating. So first of all, the cheating. I am so pissed off with this thing. And it took me out of episode 2. If you look at all the video in live reaction, I was like, I barely can watch this now. I was like, I'm gonna go and surf now. Yeah, I was like, I almost lost it. I was like, not really like anger, it's more like I'm disappointed. It really had that feeling we joke about in many TV shows. I'm only Jackass. I grew up with Jackass, right? I'm old, so Jackass was a big thing when I was a kid. And I remember this episode where Bam, it might be of course Bam Melgora, but I think it's Jackass. And Bam is like, I never really cared about my dad said to me. He was angry at me and so I never cared about that. But he's doing this thing where he's gonna like get a car inside of his yeah, an X-ray of that and so on. And then it talks about, I had this really weird feeling because my dad always angry with me and I never cared, but this time my dad was like, I'm disappointed. I didn't think you could go lower than this. Yeah, my dad wasn't angry, he was just like, this is rock bottom. Yeah, and that actually took my fans. Bam is like, they actually made me feel bad. The first time I actually really felt bad to my parents, because my dad was like, I'm not even angry. I'm disappointed. I'm just like, no, I don't wanna talk about it yet. Like, yeah, Dad does it. It's a great episode. Should watch it. I think it's there. It might be in the Bab's own TV show, but I'm pretty sure it's like late season of Jackass. Anyway, so that's the feeling I had. Like, I just recognize that episode of Jackass. I was like, I am Bam's father. I was like, son, you have done so much bad stuff to me. You have done this stuff. You have done the easy stuff, which is horrible. You have done the Miss Yoshi more bike stuff, which I think is annoying. You've done this and this stuff. You've done that they got equal place and they couldn't even win, and they had to lose every 3 things because they have to be the underdogs. It's like, we are underdogs. Actually, it's really bad right there, because the author has to force it to be underdogs, where they can just be like losing the first day, but maybe winning, like the sprint, or maybe winning the mountain climbing. Let's win like 1 out of 3. They will still be the losing team, but they will be a little better. So you just lose ridiculous. So a lot of issues, right? So I really feel this way. It's like my son has done a lot of bad stuff, right? And I keep telling him, oh, come on, don't do this thing. I told you better. And just I'm like, I told you better, yeah. You get angry, like, I told you don't do that, yeah. That has been how I felt, right, for season 3 anime. I love season 1. I really love it. I'm a big sport. I like sport anime. I'm a sport guy too. I might be really fat these days, right? But I used to exercise a lot, right? And especially a lot of martial arts, but I do a lot of exercising. A lot of sports and so on. I'm a very competitive person, right? I play esports. Here's my arcade stick. I always play a lot of Street Fighter, Dragon Ball, like now that, and so on, right? So I love sport anime, and I'm feeling like anger towards the things happening in the. But this episode, when they are cheating, it really is interesting because it gives me that feeling. I feel that like the father is like, okay, this is over. I probably never talk to my son again. Yeah, the feeling is like, I want like this. I would talk to my son, but I guess he's another person that I just couldn't help. Like I'm gonna help him, but I'm not gonna try to actually like advise him on stuff and so on, because he's gone. He's like this master criminal, right? Like that kind of feeling to it. It's like, no, it's over. I have to just let it go. Like I cannot help him anymore. He is what he is now. Yeah, like it's that feeling, right? It's like, this anime is dead. He's whatever. Yeah, it's that feeling to it, and it just feels absurd disappointing. I was like, really, you're gonna cheat now? So now I explain my emotions here. I really feel it. I really feel like I'm not even that angry. The Issa part makes me freaking angry, so I'll talk about it later. But this part must be more sad. Yeah, it's more like sad, but obviously not normal sadness where a character you care about die in any TV show and you feel empathy for it and you cry maybe and so on. Or for example, when I cried when I watched My Hero last year, I cried when I the Shindo part. I cried with that. I don't want to spoil the anime, but that just gets me so much. When he's like, I just want to be a hero. Sorry, and everyone is like hating on him. They all hate him. His powers are like typical bad guys. And he's crying. That all gets me. Whether the first in the manga or the anime, I cry over the anime for that. You know, that is sadness, right? That's the kind of like emotional sadness. You connect with the character. It's quite of empathy. You feel the character, the written character. But here, this sadness is much more like this depressive sadness, and that sadness of like emptiness, right? Yeah, apathic sadness. Where you're just like, oh, this anime is dead to me. I don't care anymore. It's whatever. Yeah, it's that kind of sadness where you're more apathic to it, and this is more like I guess I have to just forget about it. Yeah, like just remove the emotions from it. Yeah, like just look at it as something distant, right? It's a really weird feeling, and a very rare feeling thing. For example, I made a long video Saturday about Issa Scribe, and I think it really sucked how that turned out. This episode, I really did so. I really hated that as well. So I've been a few bad episodes of anime this last week now. Donnie Front was amazing though, so that's that's great. Donnie Front was amazing. Watched was really amazing, but this is good. But Issa was horrible. But they're feeling anger, right? They're just like, damn it, how could you go this pathway? At least I feel something. Here I just feel more like I want to forget about it, right? I want to forget that this episode ever happened. So sorry, long rant about emotions, but it's a big thing here, right? Like I am, like disappointed. It really is the feeling of disappointment, and not the feeling of sadness or anger. So let's talk about what's wrong, right? Let's talk about what's wrong. So so why is it so wrong? Well, they are the good guys. And very rarely have I seen sport anime or any anime, but the good guys. Like Son Goku, classic. A good moment, and obviously it's going to be a spoiler here, but Dragon Ball. You can spoil Dragon Ball. This is not Super, this is Dragon Ball Z, so it's fine. I think it's fine to talk about Dragon Ball. Like if you okay. So in Dragon Ball, Goku feeds Cell the bean, right? The bean that heals his sense of bean. And that's because he's like, well, but Cell is a bad guy, but he has to fight fair. It's a tournament, right? And that's really stupid. But that just enforces you how good of character Goku is. He's a pure spirited good guy, right? So he has to have the fair battle with the bad guy. Even though everyone's like it's stupid, we have to save the world. No, fairness is more important than being the winner, right? Even if you save people, stupid to a fault, right? That's kind of the basic shonen character, and all the characters are more dimensions, but they're kind of like in that aspect, right? They would never kill someone, like Luffy never killed someone in One Piece. He beats the spirit, he beats their haki. So they surrender, their willpower to him, right? And that's why he stops their dreams or so on, which is like dying in One Piece. But they don't die for real. They might come back later with new ideals and so on, right? He beats them on an ideal ambition front, not the actual killing them. For example, the main character never kills anyone, right? Usually not. In a shonen anime, if I was saying anime like Berserk, they die everyone dies. Blood everywhere. But it's a completely other story. And it's the same thing compared to like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, of course the X-Men, Captain America. They never kill animal, right? For example, it's a great scene in the Secret Avengers Volume 1, yeah. Captain America, this is Captain America painting here, right? He fights, not Ghost Rider, but like an evil version of Ghost Rider, and it's this Penisteer, so and if you stare at Penisteer someone, they see everyone they kill, right? The bad karma, yeah. So they get a bad karma smack and they die usually, right? The Penisteer. This goes for his best attack, right? And he does this to Captain America, but the other bad guy, no, don't do it, don't waste your energy. He's like, no, I will kill him, no one can survive my Penisteer. He's like, Penis! And Captain America's like, okay, and he punches him in the face and nothing happens. And he's really shocked and he's like, what happened? I'm weak, my powers are going away, and he's like a new bad guy, kind of a new bad guy, evil Ghost Rider kind of character. He's like, what's happening? I'm losing my demon powers. And they're like, oh, you idiot. You can't use the Penisteer against Captain America because he's never done anything wrong. He's like a Boy Scout. He might have killed people. Cap has killed a few people every now and then, in self-defense, but they're all really evil. So they're like, he doesn't have any like, you know, remorse or any like innocent souls are haunting him, because he only killed bad people in self-defense, if ever. Like, very rarely he killed anyone. Yeah, he tries to never kill, and he saves the evil people also. So he has no sins. So doing that is depowered the Ghost Rider, David Ghost Rider, pretty much. It was like, okay, damn it. I was like, that should have done that, yeah. And that is how they presented, right? And a good character in this anime, of course, are in that aspect. They're not like super good at Captain America or like Superman, but they are in that aspect of the very classic underdog, good guy, fights for the fairness, and, you know, does the thing and everything, so and this was so appalling to me, especially people are defending Teshima last year. They're like, Teshima is the honorable captain, so he has to be good. He cannot cheat. It's like, he didn't cheat. Maname's bike broke down. He didn't even touch that bike. Yeah. If the other guy in my opponent like trips, is that my fault? I didn't use like tripping power. I didn't intimidate him. We were racing on our, you know, this side. We were racing on each side or like that, and he trips. That's not my fault, right? Yeah. It's like, what? You wouldn't stop in reality. You just keep biking, because it would be like, oh, sorry, you know. And of course, if you're used to two guys, you have your friend, but it's like actual race, you'd be like, oh, God, he for them, but lucky for me. That's how anyone would react in reality. Even if you're the nicest person ever. Except maybe this guy really injures himself. I mean, if he really injures himself and he's like, I'm gonna have to save his life, of course. But this is like, oh, he got a flat tire, he had to stop. Like, it's not like he's injured, right? He gets like a chain. He has to rearrange his chain, right? So he's completely unharmed. So you wouldn't stop for that guy. You wouldn't be like, are you okay, friend? You would be like, oh, I got a chance to win now. And he even talked about destiny and so on. So it would be like a destiny to win, right? So, but people defended that by saying they are the good guys and they have to be, you know, non-cheaters, right? And I don't buy it for a second, because he didn't cheat. He didn't actually, you know, affect his bike. It's, for example, there's an answer here, but I was like, I think I was 18 or 17 probably. I was playing a soccer game. I was a goalkeeper. I played goalkeeper for like 8-9 years. I've been a goalkeeper for many, probably more. But like 7 years, and then a few years break, and then 2-3 more years afterwards, a few years break there. So I played goalie for many years in soccer, and also like a back. So I was gonna take up the ball. The ball rolled to me. I was standing in goal. I was taking up the ball, and I just really misstepped somehow. I didn't broke my leg, but I really sprained my leg. It turned blue. Like, it was blue for like 3-4 days, and it was excruciatingly painful. I had a few other moments in my life where I've been so much in pain, but I felt like I broke my leg. Well, one time, oh yeah, this is all the time when I broke the same leg too, where I stepped on a rock and I remember it now. I was like 22 or something like that. I was out walking, and I was going to my grandma's place, and that was worse. And I broke my whole ankle. Right? I broke here, this poor thing here, and like this thing was like a baseball. It was this big for like 2 months. That was worse for my leg. But this other place was second worse. I also broke in my knees twice, so on. But this spraining thing was actually the second worst pain I ever felt in my legs, except that baseball thing. The back thing was horrible as well. But the thing is that this guy was coming forward, right? This guy was trying to take the ball from me. This guy called, whatever it's called, Guy. I won't say his name, but it doesn't really matter so much, because he was going forward towards me. He never touched me. I just sprained the legs like a really bad accident, like a ridiculous bad accident. I stepped like really weird, trying to pick up the ball. You know, I misstepped. I went like the ball. It was ridiculous, like the worst clumsy bad luck ever done in my life because physical stuff. And it really sprained my leg. And I was like, oh my fucking god. And I was like going down on the ground. I couldn't stand. My team comes running, and they're like, what's happening? You know, one of my best friends are there, and he's like a really good guy. He's like actually he's a gym teacher now, and like and sort of stuff as well. It's like a coach and so on, right? It's actually he was like one on the man. He was running there, balancing up, you know, he did everything with him. He's a pop, yeah, and so on. So, but they were all looking at this other guy. They were like, "What do you do, man? We're gonna kill you." And I was like, "No, he didn't touch me." No. He was like, "Oh, didn't you know?" And I was like, "No, he didn't touch me." I was even before he said it, I was like, "No, he didn't touch me." I was just bad luck, right? Just bad luck. You can't blame him. And if he done a goal, obviously, and they were like, "Oh, but he kicked the ball." I was like, "Yeah," but I was never for a second was angry at that guy that he took the ball and he actually didn't. He kind of kicked the ball anyway because it's like, oh, the ball, yeah, like. He didn't go in like, yeah, kick it. He was more like, okay, kick the ball. He's lying on the ground, yeah, like he's like, okay, and he's like, yeah, kicking the ball. I was like, are you okay, man? I was like, yeah, like that, right? And I was like, no, I'm not angry at him because he didn't touch me. It was on my own issue. I did something when I was trying to pick up the ball, and I just misstepped like horrendously on the ball. You know, like the classic thing ever. They broke my leg, but I was spraying for like a month, right? It was like ridiculous. But I wasn't angry at him for a second. But he was scared. He was like, "Well, you kill me!" Yeah, because he's a tiny guy too, and I was in better shape than I usually am right now. But I'm pretty tall, and so on, right? So I was like, "Oh, he's like here me in height, right?" And so on. And I was like, "No, I'm not angry at all. Like, it's not your fault. If you pushed me, it happened. Then I would kick your ass. Probably not this time, but like in a month from now, yeah." But he didn't even touch me, so I was like, "No." And you need to go. I don't care. Like, yeah, that's fair. Like, if I trip next to you, you're allowed to go. Like, it's not gonna happen to me. So I never get the whole Teshima defense there because it's ridiculous. Like, he's actually affected the guy. He didn't push him to get injured. So it's ridiculous. But I get it at least. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. It's like an honorable thing, right? It's ridiculous, but I understand it. So how will you explain this thing then with Koga here? He's cheating. He's a good guy. They're supposed to be the Boy Scouts, like I mentioned, the Captain America, the Spider-Man, the Superman, and Batman. It's supposed to be on that level, but it's sport anime instead. So they don't go out to fight crime, but they go and fight like evil sport teams, kind of like. And it's the same thing. They would never cheat. They would never do this thing. They would never do blah 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 blah. Yeah, but they did. They cheated, and it's so clear that if Koga had pushed him, he would probably quit. He was standing there and being, oh, I can't do it. And then the pack comes after a few minutes when he's there. If the pack passed before Koga got there, let's say Issa was alone, he's passed by the cap, the whole pack right before he meets Koga, he would be even more in distress, right? He would be even more like, I'm just leaving this sport. I'm just gonna, like whatever. And imagine that last year, a lot of bikers they actually do quit. Usually on day 2. Day 1, if they're good form, they can pass through almost day 1. But on day 1 and day 2 and day 3, the last 2 days, they do actually quit a lot of them, especially on day 2, because like kind of the half-ass guys, they kind of are there, but they kind of go, half the way day 2, and I can't do it anymore, yeah. Which makes a lot of sense. Like that sounds reasonable. That the weaker guys probably would quit after the first day or so. Yeah. So, he could be one of those guys, and he probably would quit. Very extremely likely would quit, right? And Yogi would be sitting there waiting for him for maybe, let's say, another 10 minutes, and then he would be like, no, I can't wait anymore. He has probably abandoned us. I have to go forward, right? Yeah. So then he would also have to wait for a longer period of time, and he would be alone, which would be hard for him to get at the pack and so on. Or maybe he would, he could see them there with the pack, so maybe he actually would go with the pack, yeah, potentially. But yeah, like, Koga's intervenience is clearly extremely illegal. It's clearly a huge cheat, and it's basically giving them another player, arguably even 2 players. I would say 1 more player, but arguably even 2 more players. So it is a gigantic difference, that cheat. There will either be 5 tomorrow or 6 tomorrow, potentially even 4 tomorrow, right? So it clearly has a gigantic effect. And these 2 guys obviously are going to use the Hime song, which is the only good part of the episode, and then they're gonna go right to their friends, which would actually make an even bigger effect. So that shit is the biggest shit ever. It's a gigantic shit. It's less, of course, than focus on, of course, putting Kinyo in the -1 season with the flashback season, of course, which is a big shit. Obviously, he cheated on the guy actually gonna win, and he won by cheating, of course. And that's also why it's so tainted, right? Because now we know that the good guys are also cheating, like the bad guys did last year. Last year, the bad guys, well, they didn't cheat last year, but 2 years ago, the bad guys cheated, and there was always, we always had over them. Or we're gonna beat them, we're the underdogs, and they're cheaters, right? But no, we are still underdogs, but we are the cheaters. Yeah, and that's a really bad position. The author forced to be underdogs, and they made them cheaters. It makes so little sense. I'm really, really appalled by the whole writing. I think it's horrible writing. It's really, really retarded in my opinion. And as I mentioned earlier, the feeling is weird because it's like I am so disappointed, and I'm even anger. I'm just like, wow, that happened. Sorry if my camera turns off there. But yeah, like I was like, well, what happened? They cheated. They actually cheated. I'm just like, wow. I don't think I've ever seen a sport anime where the good guys cheat so blatantly. I mean, I've seen all the sport anime. I've seen almost every sport anime. I love sport anime, and I've seen. I mean, there are of course some here and there, but not on this like obvious degree here. And the thing is that it's again about how this team is presented, right? Like if the Devil Bass would cheat in Ice you'd be like, yeah, because you're like the guy has a machine gun and he's bad. He's kind of like an anti-hero, you know, they're the leader and so on. So you would be kind of like, yeah, I kind of expect it, but he actually is very honorable. But which is one of his characterizations, right? He actually is very, very honorable. That actually is a big part in the anime. That he looks bad. He looks like a bad guy, but he actually is the nicest guy. Or not nice, but he's very, very honorable. But even so, in that sense, you'd be like, yeah, I could see it happen because he's like a, you know, looks like a bad guy. He pretends to be a bad guy. That's kind of his thing, right? And so on. But if you watch something like, I don't know, say Kurokun basketball, they're also underdogs, and you know they do face that the uncrowned cheating king, right? And they injure them and cheat and everything, and it's like, yeah, because they're the good guys, so they have to face a cheating team and they beat them, of course. Spoilers, but the cheating team never wins in any anime. The cheating teams, the other teams might win. They have like honorable good guys to fight in their own aspect, like Issa and so on, that are good in their own, like copycat powers and so on. But he's not a cheater; he's just good powers, right? He can win, the other guys they can win, right? Yeah, but not the cheating team. They're never gonna win. Come on, like that's not spoiler. They're never gonna win. I mean, in any anime, show me, especially the main character beats the enemy cheating, never happened. That being said, as I mentioned, so on, right? Other animes though, where it's more like we are following the cheater. We are following like Akagi in Akagi. And he's Kaji in Kaji. Yeah, they are the cheat. They cheat all the time. But that's the anime. That's the anime. In Kaji, he cheats like every game he does. But that's the thing. He cheats, right? Akagi is like, oh, I'm gonna cheat with your shit. Yeah, that's the thing in the anime. They cheated every battle they have. It's presented as they are cheaters from the beginning because they're playing like a luck, a chance-based game. They're like, how to have less chance? Oh shit! Yeah, I was like, but that's fine because we are following an anti-hero, maybe even anti-villain, right? We're following something that's like not a bad guy, not like a neutral person, more not a good guy, yeah. And that is fine. But here in Yowamushi Pedal, I'll say it again, we are following Superman in bicycling. Yeah, we're following the Boy Scout, the super good heart character. And the only redeeming thing Teshima had last season was that, well, they are the super good, super, you know, glorified Jesus of a team. So that's why they had to wait for him, even though he didn't do anything wrong. So, like, it was stupid, but it was at least, like, logically reasonable in that sense. I didn't agree with it, but I was like, I can understand where people are coming from. But here, this goes against it completely, right? Because now they cheated. Now it's tainted. This is so bad. Anyway, Koga should be captain though, because the opposite is a great system. And then short rage here again. Then Issa, I'm tired now, but that's from anger though. So yeah, so Issa of course, anger again, horrible character written. I mean, he regressed back again. It's so stupid. It's so retarded. We had him last week having a panic attack. That finally potentially gave him character development, but it happened in like a second. So it was stupid because they went too fast. And it was like really bad how it was presented, and he has like mental issues, like a lot, right? And that would have just healed himself, so to speak, or fix himself by like a second from there. That's not reasonable, and so on. And that's why it was badly written last week, because it's like, how did he suddenly turn into another person? He really did. It's not the same thing as like, oh, well, I understand my issues now. No. He is a person represented or presented in the anime, having like IQ of 1 and Dunning-Kruger to the highest we ever seen in an anime. Like he has the fictional highest Dunning-Kruger ever, as well as other like, mental issues. And those people don't just change. You know, if you have like, let's say if a scale, you have like 10 out of 100 of Dunning-Kruger, you might actually learn something. Typically Dunning-Kruger, you have really high confidence in the beginning, and then it goes down and then it goes up again, right? So you usually have like really high. And if you learn stuff, you go down, it's better again. So, known people will go here, right? They will learn the mistakes, and then they will go up again. But he's absurdly high up over here, right? He's just maximum over here. And those people that has to the level of like 100 of 100, they never go down. right? They have an issue. They have like a mental issue, literally. I mean, this is if you go read psychology, this is an issue. People that is never. I mean, it's one thing people that have like hard time admitting they are wrong, versus people that are just like they can't, like they literally can't. And people exist in real life, right? That are absurdly narcissistic and so on. They just can't. Like it's against the personality. They can't do it. Those people are of course hard to deal with, and they are annoying to deal with mainly more than hard. But yeah, and also those people that usually don't go that far in life though. I'm throwing out here, but they don't in a way, because the people have a hard time, learning, right? Because you learn from your mistakes. The very classic thing is that you learn by your mistake, right? One of my favorite, the classic quotes like, if it doesn't kill you, you get stronger and so on. Yeah, but those people never learn from their mistakes. And actually, one of my favorite quotes is that don't learn from your own mistake. Learn from other people's mistake. Yeah, like you don't even do your own mistake. Look at what people doing, and then you don't do what they're doing. It's the bad thing. Yeah, that's even better. Let other people do the mistake first, and then you adapt from what they did. That's even better. But he doesn't do that, right? He's just like he's like this messiah complex, right? He's insane. He's delusional to the maximum degree. So it makes no sense. So Issa freaking used to chase around, and wish he was a character. So he's horrible. And so from that, he wishy-washes himself to suddenly not being delusional, right? And you can argue and say that, well, that moment shattered his illusion, and that's why. And my point last week was like, no, that's not possible in reality. Because in reality, if you're that delusional, probably he's so delusional, you would not shatter that person like illusion by doing it. You wouldn't, right? It's like a religious person or a person that's fanatic about anything. You can't just like ban like that. It doesn't happen like that. Not saying that either of those are wrong, or it doesn't matter. If you believe something so strongly, you can't just change them in a second. It doesn't happen. Even if you might change them, but not in that quick. That doesn't happen. This too fast to resist for that. People are too fanatic to change that. I mean, he's absurdly fanatic. He really is, and it's like he would not change that quickly from just one issue. Normally, a person would have to experience that like 10 times over, right, at least, to maybe change and so on. Has some kind of inner monologue, some kind of reflection. He doesn't do it. He just changes, right, and this is horrible. But the thing, though, this episode is that he goes back again, and that makes it even freaking worse. Because if you at least argue and say that, okay, he might actually not be that delusional. He's like he's 50 of 100, and that did shatter his illusions, and now he's actually seeing reality. Like that's a really stretch, and I don't agree with that at all. Or actually, I say this thing, to be honest. I agree that that's what the author wants us to think, that he, like that's the author's, like, I guess, intention, but the author's written it bad. So the author, I said again, he presented him as 100 of 100, but in the argument that it's only 10 of 100, then it makes sense, right? But it really is not how it's presented, so that way it is a horrible fail. But if he was like that, then it would make sense. So in that argument, it's like, okay, like, I can see where you guys are coming from. It did shatter his illusion, and now we can see the reality. It doesn't make sense, but okay, fine. I can like, or I can imagine it. That's not how it is back. I can imagine it. I can see a little bit coming from. But this episode then makes him go freaking back again. So no, I was right. You're all of you are wrong. Everyone has to say. Everyone told me last week that no, but he's only like 10 of 100. He's not that crazy. You're wrong. You're all wrong. Like if he was little crazy, and last week then shattered that, right, and then this week he would actually then last week shattered him. He will then be in reality. He will be here with us, right? But now this week we see that as soon as he gets help, he's back to being completely 100% delusional again. So no, I am right and everyone else is wrong. Sorry, but I'm seriously tired of it last week with people like defending the storyline. It really makes no sense because he is not that intelligent. Like, he's too stupid to understand what's happening to him. That's how he presented. So this episode here is actually in a way, it makes me right because he went back to being insane. So that shows you that he's insane, right? Yeah. So I was right, and people saying, well, obviously I was right. Like, clear evidence I was right. But in a way though, it makes the writing even worse. Because then last week was trying to maybe, because I can see as a person maybe the author's intention was to show us that it actually is not that insane. But if it's not that insane, why would he go back to being insane, right? So it is even more wishy-washy insanity. It's like the author can't decide how crazy he is. So he goes from like 50 to 100 back and forth all the time, and it just makes no sense. It makes it even more confusing, and people aren't that in reality. It's just so disgustingly bad. But anyway, yeah, clearly, like that makes it even worse. If he at least had just stayed being in reality, like stayed not being delusional anymore, it would be much better. That would make the general story bad, because it'd be like, well, why was he so crazy before? If he's so that crazy, he would have learned. That's my point right last week. But now we see him go back again, and it's like, what do you want from this anime? It's like, what do you want anime? He can't be both learning and not learning. It's a lot of that, eating cake and having it too. Like it doesn't make any sense. He can't be both. They're mutually exclusive. You can't both be sane and completely crazy at the same time, right? It doesn't make any sense. And you can't be like in the middle either, because he's too much to the extreme. That suddenly learn. No, he didn't. He's just like, no, but then he's just fucking crazy. And it's just ridiculous. I really hate it. I truly hate it. Anyway, yeah, he's a horrible character. They cheated. I'm disappointed, so disappointed. And again, it's an interesting feeling, because I'm not even angry at the general story. I'm just like, well, you're dead to me. Yeah, it's not. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, hope that's the end of you, and I'll see you guys next week.